If you want to go ahead and pop back on the screen, that would be great.
All right.
All right, that's better. All right, man. What is going on? Hey, tonight, guys. You know what? I think I'm in California tonight, man. You know what? I've been reaching to a lot of paranormal investigators out there, man, but a lot of them just don't reach me back. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but I finally got one. You know, dude, introduce yourselves, please.
My name is James Hershey Jr. I am a best-selling horror author. I wrote the I Am Legion series. I also am the host of the Staring into the Abyss radio show with my co-host, Old Boy James Ash. We have a documentary series called Tales from the Abyss that has my team here in the mountains of Virginia and Old Boy's team out there in the desert of California. And basically what we do is we go around and we help families who are being
Mhm.
attacked by malevolent and demonic entities. That's what I do. My specialty is emotional and spiritual healing. I cast out demons, do exorcisms, that kind of thing.
Oh wow, you seem like man, you're a pretty interesting fella.
I've lived a life, my friend.
Well, you know what? Let's hope that you continue living a good life.
That's
You
in
know,
God's hands, brother.
okay. Now, what made you guys split up? One on the East Coast, one on the West Coast.
That's just where we're from, actually.
Is it?
I
Okay.
met Old Boy because he had a horror group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was just a redneck from the mountains. And I had written my first novel and I was promoting it in all the horror groups. And he was very kind to me and allowed me to promote in there as much as I wanted. And we became friends. And from doing a bunch of radio interviews, promoting the books, I got fairly good at doing radio and stuff like that. And I was
Okay.
offered a show on a network. And I kind of brought Old Boy along. He was doing a show called We're Screwed, and I was doing a
Mhm.
show called The Writer's Block. And then we kind of joined forces for Staring.
Oh wow, interesting. All right. Well, you know what? Let me introduce you to the audience tonight. Tonight, guys, we will be broadcasting live from the great country and city, I might say. I don't want to offend anybody over there, of Tokyo, Japan. So, hey, all you guys over there in Tokyo, Japan, hey, welcome to NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast. Also, we'll be streaming live on Twitch, NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast Season 3 YouTube channel. Also, NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast and NSPS TV Paranormal. So tonight we are broadcasting live on 6 major networks. So, hey man, this is very exciting for me. I usually don't podcast in Tokyo, but I got the permission to do so. So, hey man, I'm really excited, you know, for this venture. Thank God for my good friend Irene from Tokyo. If you're out there listening, you're number one, my friend. All right, hey man. So, how long have you been? You know, can I call you a demonologist or a paranormal investigator?
Um, kind of, I'm not really a demonologist. I don't study demons. I just cast them out.
You
I do
cast them out.
exorcism. Yeah, my
Well,
specialty is emotional and spiritual healing. So what I do is, let me explain kind of how the process works on a demonic
okay,
case.
okay,
That'll kind of
yes,
help you to understand. There's two ways to get a hold of me. Either
okay,
one, somebody that I know and respect will refer me to a case if it's really, really bad and they need help. Then I'll go
right,
and I'll work the case. The other way is going through the church. Now, the church way, once it gets to me, there's already been an investigation done. It's already been determined that there is something at the very least malevolent, but probably demonic going on that I need to
okay,
go in there and take care of. I work with the St. Michael's Order of Exorcists from the Lutheran Church, so we handle everything on the East Coast as far as exorcisms, demon cases, that kind of thing. So basically, what I'll do is get some background information about the case. I'll find out who the people are, their history, if they have mental illness history, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll go in and I'll do an interview with the people and kind of fill in the gaps that are left from the basic history. Find out what they're experiencing, what's happening, their history as far as what I just mentioned, medical, drugs, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, saying that, mental issues and drugs and alcohol do not disqualify a case, because most times when you have a demonic case, you're going to have mental problems, you're going to have drug and alcohol abuse. It kind of goes hand in hand. That's just to kind of flesh it out and give me an idea of what I'm dealing with when I go into the thing. So then I'll do an investigation. I'll start by testing the person, finding out if there is actually a demonic presence and attachment. That is done by reading of scripture, because if you read scripture to somebody who has a demonic attachment, there is going to be a reaction that takes place. You can also anoint with holy oil, anoint with holy water, holy salt. That also will get a reaction. We will do the standard kind of paranormal investigation as well, where we work with like a spirit box and all that kind of stuff to try to communicate what's going on. So then once I determine that there is a demon that is attached to this person, then I go ahead and I cast it out right away. Now, it does not stay gone when you cast it out. The problem is there are a lot of doorways that are open in that person's life that allows that demonic entity to attach to them. These doorways are caused by trauma. Everybody goes through trauma in their life. And what happens when you go through trauma, there are negative emotions that are attached to that trauma. So whatever the trauma is you go through, you'll feel things like fear, anger, hatred, jealousy, lust, those kind of things. When those negative emotions are attached to that traumatic experience, it causes a wound in your soul. That is what the demon gets a foothold on, a handhold on, and can attach to, is those negative emotions. So the process of emotional and spiritual healing, it's not like, I'm not Superman, it's not magic. It's almost like therapy. What I do is I walk the person back through the traumas that they experience in their life. Going through those traumas, we determine what the negative emotions are that are attached to that trauma. And we walk them through it so that they can feel those emotions again. Once they can put themselves there mentally and they're feeling those emotions again, we have them hand those emotions over to Jesus. They say, Jesus, take these emotions from me, whether it's anger, whatever. Let's say it's anger in this case, or fear. Take this anger from me. Take this fear from me. Heal the wound in my soul, right? We go through that process, then we stop and we take a break because it's very, very taxing on the person. We take a break, we relax, we cut up a little bit, joke around, goof off, get them kind of back in a good mood. And then we go through the process again. We walk them back through the trauma. We find negative emotions again attached to that trauma. Now, sometimes those emotions will be the same, just weaker. Most times they change. So you might have been feeling fear before. Now you're not feeling fear anymore. Now you're just feeling anger or guilt or depression about it or something like that. We go through it as many times as necessary, handing those emotions off to Jesus each time. He takes care of it. We heal the wound in the soul. Now, once you do that for that trauma, you close that doorway, right? But it's never just one. It's always dozens, at least, sometimes hundreds of doorways that are open because of different traumas. So you kind of have to work your way through that process. And it's an ongoing process. Pretty much for the rest of their life. Whenever they go through something traumatic like that, they have to go through that process on their own to make sure that they stay demon free. And they have to live in a way that doesn't open up doorways to allow these things back in their lives. Because the Bible says that once you cast that demon out, that he comes back stronger than he was before, and he brings 7 of his friends. And so the state of you is worse than you were in the beginning. So it's an ongoing process, and we work with them throughout the rest of their life to try to help them and keep them demon free and safe.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Question that I have for you is, how did you manage to learn all this? Second question is it possible that a demon can attach itself to you because of some emotional states, like a death? Is that possible? Because when you lose someone, you really at the lowest point of your life, so there's a lot of vulnerability there for someone or something to come in and, to attach themselves to you. Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. Any trauma that is attached to negative emotions will give them a foothold. But not every time you have a trauma will you have a demon. I want to make that clear. It's not like every
Right.
time you have a negative emotion, there's a demon attached to you. That's not the way it works. It's just that is what gives them a handhold in order to attach to you. That's a doorway that they can use to get into your life. And once they're in your life, they will mess with your finances, your health, your mental state, your relationships. Pretty much everything in your life can get destroyed from these things. It is very, very, very dangerous. And basically, one problem I have with a lot of people nowadays is they don't take the Bible very seriously, and they don't take God very seriously, and they don't believe that any of this stuff exists or that it's real.
Yeah, and the
And I
question
can tell you,
is,
I've been doing this for almost 40 years, brother. I can tell you
wow,
this is real. You know what I mean? And
right,
I battle these things constantly. And I'm not, as I said, Superman. I am a regular human being. On my own power, I will be destroyed in a moment. These things would eat me for lunch, dude. It is God that they're afraid of. It's God that they must obey, and it's God that saves them and keeps me safe. You know what I mean? So it's not my power that's doing anything. I just learned what I'm doing. I'm just kind of the mouthpiece that can walk them through the process. It's Jesus that does all the work.
right. Okay, well, give me a percentage, bro, on. Okay, here James just jumped in. Let's see if we can get him in here.
Hey, old boy.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, old boy, what's going on?
Sorry, guys. I finally figured out because I have an iPhone, so I had to go through all this. I had to reopen everything through my YouTube account. So sorry, I apologize.
No problem. Now, James, give me the percentage, man. Give me a number on a that you, like you said, you go in and you evaluate these people. Give me a number on how many people that you come across that it was just a mental thing. It wasn't an attachment. It was just basically them, not being able to comprehend or understand whatever situation that they're in. So automatically they thought something's wrong with them. Just give me a number, man, on the thing, on something like that you go in and it's not what it seems to be. Is it sometimes 40%, 50%, 30%? Give me a number.
It depends on how the case was referred to me. On cases referred from the church, the number that is actually demonic activity is probably around 20 to 25% is actually demonic, which would mean like 75 to 80% is something else. Okay.
Right.
On cases that are not referred through the church, so there hasn't been the process that has taken place. It's literally just somebody refers me to the case because something bad's going on. Usually there you're looking at maybe a 10% chance that it's actually demonic, and 90% chance that it's either just a malevolent entity of some sort or literally nothing.
Oh, wow. All right. Hey, Mr. Ash, what's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing, brother? You could call me old boy.
I'm hanging in there, man. Tell the world a little bit about yourself and what you got going on over there in the great state of Cali.
Well, I'm old boy from Staring into the Abyss / Tales from the Abyss. I've been trying to see everybody. We took over Shadow's Pit and we just made it part of Tales from the Abyss, just like he did the Vapor part. It's connected with us because we do a podcast on Parax Radio, YouTube, Facebook, and now we're on, I think it's Spotify. So instead of having so many problems, we split the groups together. So that's, everybody knows that. But here in California, me and James are very different. He lives the weird thing about me and him, I don't know. See, like I missed the last 12 minutes. So I don't know what's been said, but we're very different. And that's what trips out a lot of people because we both have different belief systems, but we work totally perfect together. We've never met each other in real life. Like we've talked to each other on the phone for like 8 years. I've known him for 10 because he was I originally had a horror group on Facebook before I started doing all this. And we started becoming friends and we started doing a radio show together. It was called Revolution Radio, but it was a total different thing. But one time like these things started falling through. The guy was running it. His father passed away, so a lot of people didn't want to do it. So me and James started doing the show together, and we got involved in it. And then we got hooked up with the original Shadow Pit leader, and he took me out, and I started doing investigations about 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And he ended up quitting and giving me the group, and then he came back, but it's mine now. But instead of having an issue, because he lives out in Virginia and I live in here in Pennsylvania, plus one of our guys lives in Pennsylvania and does Gettysburg now. He has like they do some haunting tours out there. He's actually the manager there. So we do Pennsylvania too. I'm trying to get Vegas. A person up that we have in a group might be moving to Vegas soon. So, but pretty much what I do and James does, we do extreme stuff that most people won't touch. We're pretty not scared of nothing. Some of the stuff I've done, like most people won't touch it. Like, but I don't know what James does a lot of stuff with the church out here in California. You don't have to ask. See, back east, it's a little different. A lot of the churches involved, they're not, I don't know if you're from, I don't know. I think you're from Texas, right? That's what I read.
Correct.
Yeah. So Texas, California, it's a little different. They don't, especially Cali, you don't have to have too much permission to go to these places. But the only problem with California is a lot of places you got to pay like hundreds of dollars because so many people are going to them. But like out here in California, I do a place, it's called in Victorville. Edgar Allan Poe stayed there in about 100 something years ago. A lot of people don't realize Victorville used to be a place that people used to go to 100 years ago. And he liked to stay there, but it used to be like this hotel, but now it's a cemetery, and it's right by this hospital. And that's where we get a lot of our activity, and stuff calls James out. He's never even been out here, and it calls him out, me out. It doesn't like James. It doesn't like Christians, especially. My guy, it's a medium. He's a Christian, and it doesn't like him. It's attacked him numerous times. My wife, it likes. My wife goes along with us. She translates in Spanish. She's from El Salvador, but she could speak in English and Spanish. And it's kind of interesting because she talks to these spirits there, especially where the kid area is. There's a part where they bury the kids in the babies and stuff, in the younger children, and they like her and they'll talk to her for hours. And a lot of people realize I have a different belief in James. James is a born again Christian. He's also a pastor. I'm not. I'm a pagan. My wife's a pagan. But we've never had any issues. We don't have any problems. I know a lot of people trip out about that because I'm a very different. If you look at me, I'm a very different person than James. But the reason we don't go by the James and James is, it gets too confusing. So I use the old boy name. I've had it for years. So he goes by James and I go by old boy, and it makes it a lot easier for everybody. So no, that's catch you guys up. I'm the leader from Shadows Pit, because I remember me and him was talking. I was trying to explain to you what happened is we took it over, and it's just a branch of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We do paranormal, we do cryptozoology, we also do, we do conspiracy theories, we do aliens on the show, especially the podcast. You guys ever come to check us out? It's on Parax Radio Sunday nights, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, technically Monday morning. And it's on Spotify, but you can, anything you guys like, and you can check us out. We do a lot of history too. It isn't just paranormal. We do like the Confederate War. We've done stuff about Civil War. We've done stuff about UFOs. We've done stuff, but you can only do so much because you know how conspiracy theories, yeah. So, but thank you for having me on, brother.
Wow. Hey man, if I could, I think I would be nuts if I can keep up with either one of you.
No, go ahead, brother. No big deal.
You know what I'm saying? It's what you guys do, especially you, James, is amazing. I think God gave you this gift for a reason, and that's to help people out that that really needs the help. But let's get to the church, man. When you mentioned the church, my head just went to rolling, and I'm like, oh man, because you know what? Here in Texas, the church is a big part, especially in East Texas, South Texas. where it's the religion is different, but it's two of the same to me.
Yeah.
You have in East Texas, you got Southern Baptist. Southern Baptist runs from East Texas all the way up to Kentucky or however far they go. So big religion. Christians, a lot of, and Catholics, I could say Catholic. A Catholic is more of a Hispanic thing here. Anything past the San Antonio area, down south into southern Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing that I have for you, James, is why do Southern religions accept this for what it is, and some of them don't? For an example, I've had a team out of East Texas who literally got ran out of the town because they were paranormal investigators and they were reaching out and helping out people. But the Southern Baptist Church, they're not having that. They are not having.
It stems from a part in the Bible where they tell you you're not supposed to commune with the dead. You're not supposed to be talking to spirits. The reason for that is a lot of times when you're having a conversation with what you think is somebody's relative or loved one that had died or something, a lot of times demons will impersonate people that you loved and pretend to be those people. They like to pretend to be children as well. And that's a way to get you to let your guard down and communicate with them. And just the action of communicating is opening a doorway that is a two-way street that they can come to you, you can go to them. Does that make sense? So
Right.
They want you to feel comfortable and to put your guard down so that they can get in and start rooting around in you and try to attach to you. So a lot of real religious people look down on the paranormal because you're not supposed to be communing with dead. But my view on it is that I have, and I may be talking out of school here, but my feeling is that I have a calling to do this. Okay, my whole life has led me to this point to where I can help people and do what I do. And I don't do this for money. I don't do this for fame. I don't make a penny off of this, brother. Nobody pays me anything to do this. I do this for free because this is God's work. This is not for me. This is not to make me look cool or to make me look powerful. Like I said earlier, I'm nothing compared to these demons, man. They are all powerful. I am nothing. They will squash me. It's God that protects me and that does the work. But I believe if you have a calling to do something like this, then there's a reason God had you do that. Does that make sense? And I think that the abomination not to commune with the dead is mainly because of that reason. That it's a lot of times it's demons you're talking to and you don't even realize it. And so if somebody is not schooled and they don't know how to protect themselves and they don't know what they're doing, that can cause a lot of pain and anguish in their life.
Understandable on that one. Somebody has an echo. I'm not for sure who it is.
It's one of you guys because I can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear
I
it
can hear
too.
it too.
Yeah, but we'll try to work through it. Yeah, man.
Hey, brother, does this work like Skype where you can mute it?
No. This is whatever you say and whatever you do is live all over the world.
It says I can it says I can mute it right here. Watch.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We can mute our audio when we're not talking. That'll kill that echo.
Let's see.
See, yeah, you can mute it. I just muted right there. It's on my thing. It says mute, so I just muted it, guys. So if you guys can, I don't hear an echo. Maybe somebody has the air on or something. That's all. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, okay, James. Let's stick with the church.
Okay.
The church have a tendency to sometimes to stab people in the back. I'm just going to be honest with you. They have a tendency to stab people in the back when it comes to paranormal beliefs. Okay, let's go back to the 1500s. Even back before then, when the Catholic Church was sending paranormal investigators out to see what was going on. If something was going on and the Catholic Church wants to know about, they usually send somebody like us out there to go investigate it. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So, why come the role has changed since back then till now? Some church, Catholic Church, would, they would denounce everything, but yet they know what's going on in the world.
Because the majority of, and this sucks to say, but it's the truth. And one thing you'll learn about me is I always tell you the truth, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I always tell you the truth. And one bad thing about the church nowadays is that the majority of Christians don't know their Bible. They're people that were kind of raised in a church. They go to church because it's what they're supposed to do. They couldn't tell you what's in the Bible because they haven't read it. And they worry too much about Old Testament and not so much about New Testament. Okay, so they're more of the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type, instead of the love your enemy, turn the other cheek. If you get hit in one cheek, turn the other one. Love your neighbors, you love yourself. Jesus' message of love and acceptance for everybody. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's what Christians are called to do, is to love and to spread the word. The good news, man. The good news is that you don't have to burn in hell. You can be saved because Jesus died on the cross for you. He paid for your sins. We can't do it by ourselves. We can't. We're sinners. We just can't stop. So he paid the price for us. That's the message of the New Testament. That's what we're supposed to be living. We're supposed to be loving everybody. That old boy said earlier that we don't have any issues. We get along great, even though he's a pagan and I'm a Christian. And you wouldn't think that would work out, but you know why that works out? Because old boy's an honorable man who has respect, and I follow Jesus. I love my fellow man, my brother, even though he doesn't agree with me, even though he doesn't feel the way I feel about things. He's still one of God's children. He's still my brother, and I still love him. And I'm never going to stop trying to save him. And he can tell you that. We've been on the phone for hours, we're talking about the Bible and stuff, and he's not going to listen probably, but I love that man, and I'll die for him if necessary. You know what I mean? That is
Exactly.
what we are supposed to be as Christians. We're supposed to love everybody. And yes, there are standards that God has for our lives, all that kind of stuff. I understand that. But where the church goes wrong is they prioritize one sin over another. There's no sin that's greater than the other sin. So murder is just as bad as telling a lie. They're both sin. They both send you to hell. And we're all guilty of it, myself included. Do you know that I walked away from the church? I walked away. My grandmother got cancer. And when I was young, I was not a nice guy. I was a mean guy. I was young, dumb, and full of vinegar, man. I wanted to fight. I was a bad, bad man. And my grandma got cancer, and we argued. The night that she went into the hospital and ended up dying, we had a fight. I punched her window out, and I told her I freaking hated her. But I didn't use the word frickin', okay? And I walked out the door. She went to the hospital that night, and she died. And I never got to say I was sorry. I never got to tell her I loved her. I stupidly couldn't accept blame for that for myself because I was weak and stupid. I blamed God, and I walked away from the church completely. I basically gave the old stone cold salute. You're from Texas, you know what the hell that means, to God, and walked out the door, right? And I left completely. But God had a calling for me. He had something he wanted me to do. So he never stopped sending people to try to get me back. And I never listened because I was stubborn as hell. He killed me, brother. He had to kill me to bring me back. I died and came back. That's what brought me back to Christ. That's what brought me back to God. That's what put me on the path to be able to save people today. Is because God literally had to kill me to wise me up because I was so stubborn and dumb. You know what I mean? So there's always hope. It doesn't matter how far gone you think somebody is. It doesn't matter what they've done in their life, whether you think they're worthy or deserving or not, doesn't matter. We're all God's children. We're all worthy of being saved, and we all sin. So we're all equally garbage, and we got to start as Christians loving each other and loving our fellow man. It doesn't matter if they don't agree with you, man. I've walked into places and they've literally mocked me, brother, because of what I believe, and I don't care. I still love them, and I'll tell them I love them to their face, and I don't let that bother me because I'm not called to be offended. I'm not called to be angry. I'm called to love. That's what Jesus wants us to do, my friend.
I understand. Hey, well said, brother. Well said. All right. Let's talk about all the action that's been going on in California. Man, an amazing place. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about what everybody else is talking about is UFOs, aliens. I'm glad you mentioned that because California is a hot spot. It's so hotter, man. It's more, yeah, it's definitely a hot spot. I mean, it's hot here, but it's hotter over there.
Actually, the hottest spot is Vegas, if you want to be fair. I mean, Area 51, all the sightings over there, plus Roswell and New Mexico. But yeah, we have some of it, but most of the stuff that's going on is happening in Vegas. But I live in the high desert, so I'm literally an hour, not an hour, 180 miles away from Las Vegas. So I'll see stuff all the time.
Well,
yeah. So
go ahead, finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's all yours.
No, but so where I live in Apple Valley, I live in the Inland Empire. I don't live in LA. I live it's weird. I live 2 hours away from LA, 2 hours from the Vegas border, 2.5 hours from Phoenix, hour and 45 minutes from the beach, an hour away from the mountains. And 3 hours away from Mexico. So it's a real weird area I live in. So I don't see a lot of alien stuff. I know there's a lot going on because I live by George Air Force Base. I live so it's like 20 minutes away, but it's closed. But there's supposed to be a lot of. Here's what's crazy about George Air Force Base is they closed it down, but there's this hospital, and it's a lot of stuff happened there. It had mental ward, and it's like one of the most haunted places, but you can't go there because it's condemned by the feds. So they have asbestos there, and the homeless live there. So now they have armed federal guards there. If you get caught, you can go to jail. I've been trying to go there. It's only 20 minutes away because I work in Adelanto, but that's where I'm trying to go. But then I read this place I want to go in, Pasadena. It's called Hell's Gate. It's supposed to be some doorway to hell. I got to check it out because anything like that I'm like into. But with aliens, anything you want to ask me, bro. But honestly, like here, it's not. It's more because, I know you saw what happened 2 months ago. We did a show about it, about the crash that happened where the people saw the aliens.
Right.
I know that happened in Vegas. And now no one's talking about it. So,
well, I think the government put a big hush hush on that real quick.
Oh, I agree.
I think something or something did crash there, and they just scooped it up real quick and took it far off. But let's talk about Dugway. Dugway is a place where it's kind of mysterious. A lot of people are focused on Area 51. A lot of people are focused on Edwards Air Force Base. A lot of people are focused on Wright-Patterson. But nobody talks about Dugway. Why is that?
I really don't like that place. I haven't really gone to. I haven't really explored. Now, Edward, I've heard a lot of stuff about that because I'm by it, but I never gone by Dugway. I've heard stories, but like I said, I don't know. I haven't gone that far out that way. Like I said, I do more paranormal. I do some UFOs, but that's a far drive for me. So Edwards is only like an hour and a half away. Maybe no, it's not even that. It's like an hour away for me. So I've been there, but there's the military's everywhere there. So you can't really do nothing. I mean, I've seen stuff like flying out of there, but there's nothing like. But with Edwards, that one, then we have heard stories the same thing, kind of like in Area 51, but I've never been by there, but like I said, I've heard a couple things, but that's one I'm not really too familiar with. But it's interesting. Yeah, I'd like to hear it because I live in California. So yeah,
very interesting. Tell me about some of the paranormal that goes on in California, because, like I was telling James, paranormal investigators, I reached out to many, but a lot of them are either not doing it anymore. Or either, they just don't reply back. And, if they don't reply back, that's telling me that they're either hella busy with it, with their investigations, or they really don't have time to do it anymore. Either one. What is your take?
Well, in this area, we're the only ones that are doing it because the guy who used to do it, and I mean, there's a couple other groups, but I don't really hear much about them anymore. And they know who we are because we're getting internationally big. So they don't really come around here. Now down in LA, there's a whole bunch of them. You got to remember, the more you get to LA, the more it comes Hollywood. And I know how we feel about certain people They live in Las Vegas. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Starts with a B, Mr. Baggins. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, I went to the convention 2 years ago when the one in Vegas, and I guess they weren't paying people. All kinds of stuff has happened since that thing happened. But all I can tell you that name was brought up because he canceled out and it wasn't good. I mean, I don't hate the guy. I know a lot of people hate on him, but when you're charging $102 to go to his museum now, that's what he's charging.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, we know the story about Baggett. You know, some of the stuff he's doing, like that museum, you can get attachments to people, man. Like you're paying people that can get cursed, and people have. It's proof. And just so you know, I had a friend that go there like 8 months ago, and something attached to her. I had to do some rituals to get rid of it. We had to cleanse her because she went there and got something. She started seeing shadow people and stuff after she went there. Her and her boyfriend had issues at her house, so I had to fix it. So I have my opinions on these museums they go to. Like, you're going there, regular people who don't really, I'm going to get scared and this isn't real. And guess what happens? It attaches to, and all this crazy stuff and bad things happen to them. Just so you know, this stuff is real.
Yeah, it is.
I deal with stuff. I've been like, they go and deal with Pennhurst. Like he told you, Andy does Gettysburg all the time. He does Pennhurst. He's always out there. He talks to Sean Austin, the guys from 28. And he's going to be on our show. We know all these guys. Jeremy Jerome, I met him. He was on 28 Days. He knows Mustafa from Ghost Hunters, all those guys and stuff like that. And Daryl Marshall, he goes out and goes on hunts with these guys. And like, they do some of the scariest stuff, but I'll go there I'll do it myself. That's what's crazy about me is I have a place out here in Lucerne Valley called Dunbar Rancher in Lucerne, and Mr. Dunbar, he got in an accident. It was like over 100 years ago. He has a farm and he has a house, and now homeless have messed it up and destroyed the place. But he had accidentally got his head chopped off because his machine started messing up. He went to look at it, killed him. But all this tragedy happened on his farm. Like a little kid got killed and they put him in a cellar because back then they didn't have a hospital around this area in Lucerne Valley. It's out in the middle of the desert. It's still like that. And there's supposed to be satanic rituals happen. A woman had supposedly got raped there and sacrificed there. I went down in this cellar by myself, and people like, everybody else was like, oh, how are you going to do that? It doesn't bother me. Like James the same way. James has gone into Pennhurst in some of the most haunted areas and goes by himself when his team, other than Andy, run away because it just attacks them. Stuff was getting thrown at them. It doesn't scare him. It doesn't scare me, but we're not normal people. Most people can't deal with this. I'm not telling you to do this, but a lot of people see it and they want to become rich. That's the one thing that irritates me. I'm so sick of that, is especially in Cali, most of these people who go see the TV shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, now I'm a ghost hunter and I'm going to go make money. Most of them end up failing, or they go on bad mouthing everybody and saying everybody's evidence is fake. I know you deal with it in Texas.
Oh yeah,
I'm so sick of that. But what's something we've been dealing with since we started? When we started this podcast 7-8 years ago, there wasn't that many podcasts. Now everybody, and I'm not saying that your podcast is awesome, but now everybody thinks they're a podcast host. And so, I mean, that's another thing that's happening. Or we both wrote books. We both have books out. I have books myself. And now everybody thinks they're an author. They go to eBay and try to make money off of it. And every way to make money, especially with paranormal. Now we all know how that's done. Everybody sees a show, so they think that they're famous. We've dealt with it with some of our members in our group. We've kicked out of our because they caused trouble. They went, even when we kicked them out, they went and tried to start trouble with other groups and lie. And even back there, they've had issues where they've gone and started all kinds of trouble and make up things just because they got kicked out, because they know we deal with people who are in the really well known in this community and famous. So they get pissed like everything, and they try to throw you in a bus and cause me and James, they've caused a lot of trouble. They don't care James is a famous book writer, and we're an international paranormal investigation podcast, and we do know people. All that matters is them is and that's, or being on TV. And that's a lot of stuff we've had to deal with. We've had to deal with other people's mess ups in Orange County. Nothing personal, but they shouldn't have done an investigation. And we had to go there 3 or 4 times to get something out of this house. And when they moved, it followed them. It just, the point is, the reason we got out of it, there was other issues going on that with their relationships, and I'm not getting it into that. And that's why we kind of cut off the investigation. But I was dealing with that for 8 months because somebody went in there and shouldn't have been doing it. And it made it worse. And we and James had to deal with it. I had to go out there 3 or 4 times. And there's other things that wasn't being told to us, we found out. But that house was an old house in Anaheim. But it was a really crazy situation. I went in there and we dealt with things. We would argue with this thing, and James would call in, and we would have our preacher go over there and cleanse it. It still wouldn't matter. Then I finally got rid of it, and then it followed her because she was still messing with stuff. And that's another thing. If you mess with things and you continuously, there's nothing we can do. I can't get it away. If you want something with you, it's going to stay. It doesn't matter. You can watch whatever horror movie you want, whatever you want to see, the Pokes, Exorcist, the Exorcist movie. It's not going to get out because you don't want it to go. And James will tell you the same thing. It doesn't matter what he does. If you want that in you, there's nothing we can do about it.
All right, now I'm going to ask you a question. Then James, when he get his answer, I would like for you to answer it also. What do you think the cause of all this is? Me, myself, I think, I might be wrong, but I think Hollywood has a lot to do with this. And me personally, I think Hollywood needs to fix their mistake. Because there's too many shows that are fake. There's too many shows that actually don't tell what real paranormal investigators do, what we deal with, and how we deal with it. Everybody I've talked to always says everything leads back to Hollywood. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, there's a lot of fake stuff that goes on TV, whether it's in movies or whether it is just like, Discovery, Travel Channel, those kind of guys. There's some that are doing good work, but there's a lot of them that it's just plain out fictitious stuff, man. It's just not real. And I think the reason for that is you've only got either a half hour or an hour to film, and you had to keep it moving. Okay, there has to be a climax before every break, and it has to be resolved by the end of the show. So that's not how an actual paranormal case really works. The way a real case works is you've got days of sitting around waiting for something to happen. You've got times where you're on a spirit box, for example, and you'll be there for hours just to get a little bit of a response. And when you have something like that going on, that doesn't make good television. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to sit around and watch you ask questions to nothing and nobody answers. So they have to kind of edit it on. The way we do it on Tales is we might have a whole weekend or 3 days or 4 days of footage, and I'll edit that and put all the good responses together and weave it into like a narrative, right? It's not fake. It's just all the good stuff crammed together, if that makes sense. We don't fake anything. We don't add anything in. Everything that you see on Tales actually happens. But what you don't see on Tales is the hour that was in between those two responses. You know what I mean? We're sitting there waiting for something to answer us. You don't see that. And even on your best paranormal investigation, the majority of the time, it's not going to be super exciting. You might find answers. You will help the people, but it's not going to be super exciting. They want it to be super exciting for TV. So they want stuff rolling across the floor. They want big bangs happen, crashes happen. They want that kind of stuff to go on. And the reality of the situation is, in a lot of cases, that doesn't go on. Because the majority of the cases you're actually going to work as a paranormal investigator are either the people think that there's something there when there isn't. It can be explained away by rational, scientific, logical means. Or it is something there, but it's something that's harmless. That's not malevolent at all. It's not demonic. It's not going to hurt anybody. So you're not getting those big displays, because those big displays take a lot of energy, and they just don't possess it to display that way. So they kind of embellish and they kind of add things in that are fake to make it interesting. You see that on Ghost Adventures a lot. they've actually been caught a couple times faking stuff on
And
camera. You can watch the episode and see them doing it,
yeah,
but it is what it is. I mean, I'm not jealous of them guys. I don't really care. I don't care about being on TV. I just don't. I don't care about the money. I don't care about any of that stuff. I did all right with my books. I'm good. I don't need anything more. I just want to help save people. That's all I care about. And as far as the TV and all that other kind of stuff goes, I mean, they can have it, brother. You know what I mean? 'Cause it seems to me like it's more of a headache than it's worth.
but I think, me personally, I just think it makes hardworking paranormal investigators like myself look bad, because I can honestly tell you, man, I can go to a store, a Walmart, and I can have this shirt on, and the first thing they're going to say is, "You're a paranormal investigator." You know, all this and all that I see on TV. Can I go? Can I do this? They're expecting that the same thing that they see on TV is going to happen, and I'm like, dude, I don't mind you going. As a somebody that just wants to come along, that's fine. But don't expect the type of evidence that these guys are going to put out that you see every Tuesday or Thursday night, because it's not going to happen, brother. You might sit there for 10 hours at a time, like you're saying, and not catch nothing. But you know what? You know what gets me, guys? It's the thrill of the hunt. I don't give a damn if I don't catch anything. It's the thrill of it that makes me want to keep doing it, and also helping people out. But some people in Texas, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see, the first thing they tell me is, I don't see how can a paranormal investigator help me out if I got something in my house. Ain't that the Lord's thing? The Lord is the only one that can help me with my problem. And you know what I tell them? I say, you're right. You're absolutely right. The Lord is the only one that can help you with your problems. But you know what? He might call upon me to help you solve your problem. He might not do it directly, but he might call upon me to ask me to go help you. You know what I'm saying? So that everything that works, everything that it has a role in it. Everything. You know what I'm saying?
There's a much darker side to this too, brother, that I don't think a lot of people are seeing. And that is the fact that they portray it on TV as exciting and fun. And they make it look like they're showing you what you can do. Right? You can, just like you said, they think that what happens on TV is what's going to happen when they go there. So people watch that and they think, I know what I'm doing now. I'm an expert. I've seen this. I know what to do. So they go to these places to do it. But what they don't show you on TV, because most of them don't do it, is they don't show you the prayer that takes place beforehand in order to protect yourself, to make sure nothing attaches to you that doesn't follow you home. They don't see the cleansing and the prayer that takes place after the investigation to make sure nothing follows you home and doesn't attach to you or your family. They have no idea of the actual way to do things correctly. So what happens is these people watch this on TV. They become like weekend warriors who think they're paranormal investigators now. So they go to these places. And believe me, that's not a knock on anybody. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I got mad love for everybody. That's not what I'm doing here. But what I'm saying is this is a warning that people think that they're prepared to go into these places. They go in there. They have no idea what the real job is. They only know what's been portrayed on TV. So they end up getting attachments. They end up bringing that stuff home with them. It attaches to members of their family. It destroys lives. It hurts people. I've worked cases where children have been being attacked by demonic entities because one of their parents went to one of these big name places on a ghost tour, right? And they went through and they had no idea that this was even real. They laughed at it and thought it wasn't real. So they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to protect themselves. So they come home, they've got an attachment when they come home, and now the baby's getting attacked, right? That happened in Orange County. The baby was getting attacked. I worked a case with a little girl who the demon was trying to make kill herself. She ended up in a mental institution because of this damn demon, and it was the dad's fault because he was the one that brought the stuff in. He was the one that was doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing. So we had to deal with that and try to save that little girl. And that's the darker side that people don't realize. They laugh at this stuff. They don't think this stuff is real. But I'm here to tell you, brother, God is real. Satan is real. Demons are real, and they hate you, man. Demons hate you more than you can ever imagine. The thing that they want more than anything in this world is to separate you from God, because they want you to burn right there with them at the end of the time. That's what they want. They hate you because God loves us. He chose us. That's why they hate us. And they'll do anything they can to destroy you. And believe me, I think a lot of this stuff on TV is put there on purpose by the enemy in order to let people, the same way they use music and all that kind of stuff, to make people lower their guard down, to accept a lot of this stuff that's not godly and is not what we're supposed to be. So we let our guard down. Next thing you know, we've got attachments because we're all doing stuff we're not supposed to be doing. And then we bring it home and our children are getting attacked. Our children end up with attachments, and it's just horrible. You know, so that's kind of the darker side that most people either don't see or they're just not talking about.
Well said. All right. What about you, my friend? What do you think?
I'll just say this: Hollywood, we all know, we everybody knows that they make. I mean, when you see it on TV, either the movie they're making it look exciting, so you'll go pay to watch it, and the TV shows. Just like I tell people, we get 10 hours of footage and put it into an hour or 2 hours. If we didn't just sit there the whole time and there's all this stuff going on, it's very boring. But Hollywood makes it that way. We know for a fact they do it. That's why we won't lie about certain things. We're not going to sit here and me and James argue about what we believe in the whole show. That's not what I'm going to do, because that's what they want, and I'm not going to do that. It's pointless. And yes, they do look at but that's Hollywood with everything. They want people to spend money. I mean, they're not doing this to, just everybody learn how to get rid of ghosts. But also not everything is evil. That's the one thing and even James will say, not everything's a demon. Not everything's bad. There is some things trying to get us to help them that we're stuck. James dealt with that with a murderer at this one over this road. He'll tell you the story. He had to get this girl and a woman who were murdered, and this spirit would not let them go, even in death. And that's the other thing, that everybody thinks it's evil right off the bat. And just so you know, I want you to know this: if God is the only reason it gets rid of, then why are we still doing this? Because I'm going to tell you that right now, most people say that, but then I have to go in and fix things that's supposed to be gone, and it's not, because either one, they didn't believe it and they're saying they do, but there's the thing can still attack you. It could still get you. All it has to do is say the person in your house doesn't believe it. Said, "Oh, this is all crap. I don't believe it." They can see that you might be protected by God, but the person who doesn't may not, and that's how they get you. And what I try to tell people is, whatever you want to believe, that's fine. I have my opinions, but because I've seen stuff that I can't say what it is or what isn't. But some things are not just evil either, and James will tell you that. That's one misconception everybody thinks, especially the church. Oh, that's evil. Me and James has been attacked. I've been attacked. Well, I get attacked all the time. Some lady thought I was a reptilian from another planet, was a Satanist, and my arm has my daughter's name. It's Bells. It's for Annabelle's, and said that was for Belle the demon, and and I was a reptilian demon, and she ended up getting fired because she was purposely going to get me on a show like this to try to make me look bad. And the lady who did the show told the truth, and she got fired from her job. I could have sued them, and I didn't, because that's how crazy it got. But there's some people who actually, I don't care what you believe in, but not every case is evil. There is stuff there. There is, and it's gone away. It doesn't stay. There's not everything we've seen or dealt with is evil. There's stuff we've talked to and that we know it wasn't. That it was that person. But yes, they can pretend, especially with kids. You got to be very careful, because that's can be a whole nother thing. And James will tell you that we've dealt with that one. Like in my own house, I've dealt with stuff. I did something on Halloween in my own house in this room, because stuff that I deal with. But and things was sitting there arguing with me and playing music. The one thing it made me, one of the creepiest investigations was in my own house. There was music playing while I was talking to the spirit box. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever heard. It was music, like somebody playing, like you ever hear like Egyptian, they have that weird, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a flute, but it makes that, it's what it sounded like in the background. It was never heard it in investigation before in my life. It was really weird. But a lot of people think that everything is evil or is bad. And James will tell you the case he dealt with when the things were throwing rocks at him. He was trying to get the spirit to detach from these two women that were murdered. And they weren't bad. That's another misconception. See, the thing is, people live in fear, and they like to start, especially on TV now, how everything's going political. Everybody's either on this side or that side. No, everybody does that to get fear. But with that, like, especially with the horror movies, that doesn't, like, the Pope Exorcist, I have my opinions on that movie. The church, the Catholic Church, like you were talking about, don't believe in demons, but they have exorcists and they want them to be quiet. And that's the truth. I mean, if you ever watch Coast to Coast, Father Malachi used to go on there. They kicked him out of the church. And that's what there's basically about, is that they don't want him telling the truth, that they want to say evil doesn't exist and good. And they don't want people to know that. So that especially in that movie, that kind of explains that. So there's something there. I'm not just sitting out in the middle of fields and stuff and talking to myself. That's what people think. That's why I think it's so funny. But if you want, James will tell you the story where he had to help that from that murderer. What was it, James, the rapist out there on that road with the two children, with the lady and the woman. They kept throwing rocks at you, and you had to get the spirit out. It was out there. I don't know, was it Virginia or West Virginia? I don't remember. It was a couple years back.
Yeah, that was to this day, and I've been doing this a long time. And to this day, that is the worst case that I've ever worked. And the funny thing is, it's one of those situations where God puts you where he wants you, because we weren't even supposed to be there that night. We were literally doing another case. And the person who was supposed to meet us to take us down to this location canceled. So we didn't have anywhere to go. And we had everybody there. The whole crew was there. Everybody was there to film. And our location completely crapped out on us. And I said, well, now what do we do? You know what I mean? Do we just go home, or do we have another case on backup that we can go do real quick? Because we got everybody here. There's a lot of money here to bring everybody out. What are we going to do? And literally, Andy said, hey, man, I know this spot we can go check out. It's pretty bad. He said, but if you're willing to go, he said, it's dangerous, but, what do you think? And I said, well, yeah, what is it? What's going on? And so here's the story. Here's what happened at this location. It was here in Virginia. And this guy was back in the early 50s. He was kind of a little nuts. And he had this attraction, let's say, to this woman. And he kind of stalked her before stalking was a thing. He followed her around and watched her all the time. Well, one day she was in town with her daughter, and he came in town in his truck. And he grabbed the mother and the daughter, and he threw them in the truck, and he drove out to the mountain with them. While he was out at the mountain, and I'm going to try to say this as nicely as I can and not be very graphic, because this is going to get kind of crazy. So viewer warning for everybody. This is going to get very extreme very quick. This was a bad case. The guy grabbed the mother and the daughter. He took them out to the mountain. When he got them out there, he tortured them and raped them for 3 days. During that time, he raped the mother, he raped the daughter, he cut the mother's breast off. He did some horrible things that he's done. That's all I'm going to say about what he did, because it gets way worse. But from that, you can probably understand it was not a fun time for these people. So finally, the police figure out where the women are, right? Because they've been looking for them because they went missing. Mm-hmm. So they get a tip that they're out there at the mountain. So they go out there and try to find them. Well, he hears the sirens coming. So he kills the mother and kills the daughter before the cops can get there to him. Once the cops get there, they have a shootout. He ends up dead. Okay, so that happened back in the early 50s. There's been activity that's been happening at this place ever since. Like, bad stuff happens there. People go there. There's all kinds of tragedies that happen on that site. Since then, there's been multiple tragedies that have happened there. And there's a lot of bad activity where people get scratched, they get hurt. A lot of bad things happen. So that's the situation I'm walking into blind, okay? I don't know what's going on other than that little bit of backstory I just told you. So we get there, and there's this feeling that you get. Now, before I say this, I'm going to say I'm not psychic. Okay, I don't have any special powers, but there's a feeling you get when you walk into a place that has something evil in it, and it's almost, I equate it with that feeling right before you get in a fight. You know, when you're getting ready to get in a fight and you just feel it, you can feel it in the air. It's thick, and you're like, oh, something's about to pop off. You kind of get amped up, and you're like, oh, here we go. It's that feeling that you get. It's thick in the air. You can feel it, that it's there. So I feel that as soon as I get out of the car, I'm like, oh man, something's here. This is going to be crazy. So we start communicating on the spirit box, and the mother comes across the spirit box and starts to tell us about what's going on. And so the story we finally get after a couple hours at the location is that the mother's spirit and the daughter's spirit is still there. And so is the guy that kidnapped them and murdered them. He's still there too. And he's been torturing them every night since he killed them. Every night they've had to relive the stuff that he did to them while he had them out there at the mountain every single night. So finally I managed to get this dude to come forward, right? And me and this dude are going toe to toe, man. I'm not a happy camper, because one thing I hate is when you mess with kids. You know, I don't like it much when guys mess with women either, but you mess with a kid and we're gonna have words. You know what I mean? There's gonna be some blows thrown. And so I finally get this sucker to come out, and I mean, we are going at it. And for all the people listening, and for you, if you want, you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. on the Tales from the Abyss playlist. That episode is on there. You can watch it for free. It's 100%, my YouTube channel, 100% free. You can go watch it. It's up there. It's called "We Save a Mother and Daughter from something in Middletown, Virginia," or something like that. Is what the name of it is. So you can actually watch this investigation take place. But we find out that they've been there ever since, getting tortured every night, and he refuses to let them go. He won't let them cross over. So I managed to call him forward, and we go at it. And I get him to back off enough that I can cross over the mother and the daughter. So they cross over into light. They're with God. They're fine now. They're not getting tortured anymore. I got them away from him, right? As soon as that happened, he went ballistic, brother. I have never in my life seen such bad activity on a case ever. Up till then, it was bad, but it wasn't like horror movie bad, right? As soon as that happened, and believe me, I told you, I always tell you the truth, no matter what. And this is going to sound like a lie. It's going to sound absolutely insane, but you can go to the YouTube channel, you can watch the video and see it for yourself as it happened. Rocks started falling from the sky. That sounds nuts. I get it. Stones, like from a gravel road, started falling and hitting me in the head, hitting the car, raining down on us. Little like dirt devil tornadoes. You know what those are, being from Texas. I lived outside of San Antonio for 4 years, so I know exactly what the little dirt devils that pop up. That started happening all over the road, even though there was no wind. And then I started hearing this sound from the woods off to my right that just sounded like this inhuman scream. It was absolutely crazy. And during that, when that takes place, you see some of that happen on camera, and then boom, everything dies. All of our equipment dead. All of our batteries died, everything. And we had full charge because we had just switched out batteries before we started doing the other hour of it. So it was all full charge, and everything went dead all at once. And it continued for about another 5-10 minutes after the cameras cut because there was no more battery life. And it just got crazier and crazier. And finally, I told Andy, I said, well, what do you want to do, bro? I mean, we're not filming anymore. You know what I mean? There's nothing going on. We saved the mother and daughter. They're crossed over. They're safe. Should we stay here and just keep going at this thing? Or, I mean, what's really the point to it? So we decided that since some of the people that were there with us were kind of getting hit pretty good with rocks and everything, that we would go ahead and pack everybody up and get everybody the hell out of there. So that's what we did. But that was the worst case I've ever worked in my life. So it was worse because it had the most activity as far as just crazy activity I never thought I'd see. But also worse because just the horrible things that he did to those women, that woman and her daughter, when they were alive. And then thinking that every night since they've had to relive that over and over and over again is just, I mean, on the way home, I was weeping in the car going home, just thinking about that happening to that kid and that woman over and over and over again. And just thanking God that for whatever reason, that dude canceled and we didn't go where we were supposed to go. And we were led there instead to help them, even though they weren't alive anymore. They were still getting, tortured and suffering. So God kind of led us there to deliver those people, which is just amazing. That's why I try to never doubt when I'm going somewhere. Old boy says that we're not afraid of anything. And the reason I'm not afraid is because God always leads me where I need to go. You know what I mean? And I figure if he's going to put me there, he'll protect me. And if he doesn't and I die, then at least I died doing what I'm called to do. And that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So there's no room for fear. There's no room for doubt, not because I'm a tough guy, but because fear and doubt makes your faith waver. And when you don't have, as the Bible puts it, that faith of a mustard seed, right? You don't have that faith, then you're not going to be able to do what you need to do, because everything you do is based on that faith. So if you allow yourself to feel that fear, you allow yourself to doubt, that means you're doubting that God is going to protect you. You're doubting that God is capable of overcoming what you're going into. You know what I mean? You're doubting the wisdom of him putting you in that situation in the first place. So that makes that faith waver. And as you know, probably as most people watching know, a mustard seed is the smallest of all seeds. It's this little tiny nothing of a seed. And Jesus was saying, if you even have that little bit of faith, you can tell a mountain to go from here to here, and it has to obey you. And that's some powerful, powerful stuff. You know what I mean? Now, I've never moved a mountain, but I have cast out some demons. And I have so far in my life been protected pretty good.
Okay, cool. What would you tell someone who wants to do what you do? What would be the first thing you would tell someone?
I would say spend a good amount of time in prayer and make sure that is what you're called to do, because it is not easy. It is not easy. There's a lot of time away from your family. You are constantly in danger on these kind of cases, and it's not a good life. And it always seems to end the same way for most people, and that's bloody. You're always gonna end up coming home in a box one day. I don't mean to say it scary, but that's just the way it is. You are literally risking your life every time you go on one of these extreme cases, because usually if you're dealing with a demonic entity, it wants to destroy you. And if it has even the smallest amount of crawl space there where it can wiggle in, it's going to do everything it can to destroy you. I've got friends who do these kind of cases who have had illnesses that come out of nowhere and almost kill them. I've had people that I know that have died doing this. It always ends the same way with grief and disaster. And I mean, my grandfather, he died, and I had to come in and go against you've heard of the Phantom Hat Man. He was seeing him before he died. And I battled that thing for 2 weeks to keep him safe. And then he died when I wasn't there, So I don't know if that thing killed him or if he just died, but he died. My dad got real sick after I worked a really, really, really bad case with a really high level demon. And my dad got real sick and ended up with sepsis in his leg out of nowhere and almost died, and it took my exorcist on my team, my big exorcist, the guy we call in for the worst cases. It took him coming in and anointing him and praying over him to heal my father, to get him out of that mess, So it is bad. And one thing, we're protected as Christians doing this, we're protected against possession, but we're not protected against attachment, right? You have to be in prayer to keep attachment from happening. They can still attach to you. It's just they can't possess you because you have the Holy Spirit sealed inside of you until the day of redemption. That's what the Bible says. And where the Holy Spirit is, a demon can't occupy that space. So that's why we're protected from possession. But see, people have the wrong idea about possession anyway. People look at possession, they think the Exorcist movie, they think head spinning around, green pea vomit. Possession just simply means that the demon takes control of you for a small amount of time. That's all it is. And it's very, very rare that it ever happens. It's not something that happens very often at all. But it's not like you turn into Linda Blair and you're spewing vomit everywhere and you're, blah, 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 all that crazy stuff, right? That's not what it is. They just are able to take control of you for a very small amount of time, and then they lose that control. So that's what possession is. Horror movies have kind of done us a real disservice by people thinking that whenever you have a demonic attachment, that means you're possessed, or that because you're not possessed, right? You're not spinning your head around and skin falling off your face and all that kind of stuff. that means that you don't have any demon problem when you very well could. I mean, I've gone in and done the emotional and spiritual healing I've been talking about earlier in the show. And the amazing thing about it is when you go through that process, not only do you get emotional healing, right? You also get spiritual healing, which is a wonderful thing. But in some cases, you actually get physical healing as well, because the Bible calls them spirits of pain. So sometimes when people have demonic attachments, they will have pain issues that don't have a medical cause. There's no physical cause to that pain. They might get headaches a lot for no apparent reason. There's nothing structurally or physically wrong with their body, but yet they're having this constant pain. They have pain all over their body like that. The Bible called it spirits of pain. And sometimes once you are able to cast that demon out during that emotional and spiritual healing process, you'll actually have physical healing that takes place as well, because the source of that pain is no longer there, which is kind of an amazing thing to witness.
Okay. All right, Mr. You're next. You're up. Talk to me.
You know, I'm a very different person. And when I deal with things, I'll take it on. It doesn't bother me. I'm very controversial the way I do things. Most people don't like to piss them off, and I do. And not in a bad way. I respect them, trust me. And another thing is, get this, isn't always demons. If you believe in God and you believe in that if they're fallen ones, they're above being a demon. That's what people need to realize also. You're not just sometimes dealing with demons. If you're dealing with the big ones, the bigger names, I don't want to speak. So we know who they are. They're different, but they're on a different level, and we've dealt with some of them. They don't really like they don't like James. I've been out here, and James, like I said, they've called us out. We've been on other people have been on investigations. We weren't even there, and they called me and James out. They called me out in Pennhurst. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I was born there, but I moved out here when I was 7. So I'm from back east. So what was weird is I'm always drawn back to Pennsylvania, and there's a real weird thing about that. I'm a very different individual. I'm not me and James is, but we're very opposite. But this stuff, it's like you said, it gives me a rush. And it's boring to me sometimes. Like if I just have to, I like helping people, trust me, and I don't want to be famous, and I don't care about all that. That's one thing I'm going to tell you. If you're going to do this to become rich and famous, right now, quit, because you're probably not going to do. And if you do, it's going to ruin your life, because I'm going to tell you, if you're only doing for that, they know you're only doing it for that. So that's one thing I will tell you. If you're going to get in this field, don't do it. If you're not a kind of person, this isn't just made from certain people. Only certain people can really do this stuff. Especially if you're very sensitive to things, don't do it, because it's always going to mess with you. So like we had this medium that was with us, and my wife can sense things. She's a walker. What that means is when she goes to sleep, she just did a show yesterday about this. She can talk to things. She has things that visited with her. She's a traveler. And it's a very weird situation, but she knew something was on this medium, and she could smell it. We could smell it. I could smell it. I could smell the sulfur. And she, no, there's not. I've been doing this forever. I've done demonology. We did a video, and you could see something's over her head. And then after that, she got really sick and almost died. So that should tell you everything. If you don't know what you're doing, don't get into this lifestyle. I mean, this business at all. If this is something you just want to do it because you want to prove people and look cool, I'm going to tell you, you're going to end up in a box, like James said. You're going to end up crazy. It's going to make you kill. It could make you kill everybody you know. Trust me on this. We have people that we know, and it's happened already. They've gone. We can't talk about it because of some couple things that just recently happened in the last year. But these things can kill yourself and your family. And I'm telling you, it's not what you see on TV. The Exorcist is right. James says it's ruined everything. These movies are ruining everything because they see it and they think, well, here comes the preacher. It's going to be gone. It doesn't. It takes maybe it takes 30, 40 years. Like that one, they were shown in Europe. They were showing these exorcists. The guy still couldn't do it. He couldn't. He's been doing it he's been doing exorcism for 70 years, and he couldn't get rid of this demon. It was one of the higher ups, and it showed it in the church. He did the thing, threw stuff at him. It didn't want to go. She didn't want it to let it go. Once you don't want something to go, it's not going anywhere. But like I said, I tell people, unless you know what you're doing, unless you really want to do this and to help people and try to find out what these things really are, because we really don't know what they are. They could be demons. They could be something from another dimension. I have other opinions on what this could be, but I'm not saying it is or not. But if you're just doing this because you watch TV and you think it's going to be, I'm going to be Zach Baggins, then you know what? You're going to find out real quick. And I hate saying it. And Ghost Hunters, whatever, they're great shows. Don't get me wrong, but 90% of it's show. Do you think they're going to show you what they're really doing? No, because you wouldn't be bored out of your damn mind. But
exactly,
I just tell people, probably something you don't really want to do unless this is what you're made to do, and only certain people are. I was made to do this, and so was James, and so were you. Not everybody is.
Right. Let's talk about some of the myths and urban legends of paranormal investigating. I've heard so many things that you shouldn't do, you should do. So many things that when you walk into a residence, the owner has this way, that way. The one thing that really has my concerning is the two mirrors that face each other. I've heard so many conflicting stories about that. Maybe you guys can lighten that up on me, because from what I hear, if you got two mirrors facing each other, it's bound to be a portal. Is that true? Because I can honestly say, when I was growing up, we've had mirrors facing each other in the bathroom. We've had mirrors. You got that one big mirror in the bathroom, hell, and you can have a small mirror on the side just as decorations. Does that consider itself a portal? You open up a portal when you got two mirrors facing each other? I mean, we got to figure these things out, man, because it's mind blowing to me on some of these things that you hear that can do this, can do that, can affect, someone investigating. It's help a brother out, man.
We actually did an entire episode of Staring about mirror magic and mirrors in the paranormal. And it's my belief that mirrors are portals anyway, whether they're facing each other, a single mirror, anything, that they are portals that spiritual energy uses to move from one location to another location. There's a rich history of lore going back to the Romans, the Greeks, even back all the way to the Sumerians about mirror magic. And that's where a lot of our myths about mirrors today come from, where if you break a mirror, you get 7 years of bad luck, all that kind of stuff. That comes from back in that time period of the ancient Romans. And a lot of this stuff believes that your soul can actually be captured in a mirror. And that's why it's bad luck to break the mirror, because it's not that you get 7 years bad luck, it's because you shatter your soul if you break the mirror. That's what the ancient lore is on it. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying there's a great amount of lore having to do with mirrors going way, way, way back to the beginning of recorded history. And a lot of people seem to think that they act as portals. Now, as far as if they need to be facing each other or not, on a lot of the higher level exorcism cases, they'll actually black out the mirrors whenever they enter a room. They'll paint them over with black paint so that they are no longer reflective. And it doesn't matter that whether they're facing or not facing, because they recognize the fact that it is a portal that spiritual energy uses to enter into a room or something. So how much truth there is to that, I don't really know. I don't have that answer for you. I don't think anybody does. But I can tell you that there's a rich, rich history of lore that says that mirrors are portals and that they can be used for various types of spellcraft.
Okay. What do you think, brother?
I don't even like to have I have a mirror in my bathroom right now. And I have one here. When I go to sleep, we shut the mirror because I'm going to tell you something. Either if they're together or not, I have a feeling something watches you through those mirrors. That's just how I've been. And I don't like mirrors as it is. I never have. So and the two double ones, I think they do that so something can't reflect itself back into each other. Or that's what I've heard. But because if they see each other, then then it can't come through. But if there's a single mirror, I don't like looking at mirrors as it is. Like right now, I can see my mirror. It's huge, both of them. I have one right here, and it makes me feel something watches me. So that I kind of agree with that one. It's probably, every myth has got exaggerations to it. We all know how that goes, but I don't like sleeping with the door open with a mirror at night because I see stuff, man. I'm stuff gets me different than it does James. And, I'll have dreams or I'll have things attacking me, but there's something in me that protects me. And my wife, I'll be sitting here watching something on TV and she'll be like, what did you say to me? And I'm not even talking to her, but I shut that door because I see things sometimes in those mirrors and they're not good. Okay. So yeah, I have my opinions on mirrors too. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think there's something with mirrors, like you said. I think there's something watching you, and it probably could take your soul. I mean, not the Bloody Mary or Candyman, where you say Candyman 5 times and he comes and kills you. But there's truth to that too. There is. We've done a show about that. The Candyman and Bloody Mary. You say it 5 times. There was a story about that some kind of demon did that. But now Hollywood's made it into a horror movie, and Candyman and then Bloody Mary. But there's lore about that forever. Like just like Slender Man. Originally, Slender Man was made by Creepypasta and all them, but there was a truth to that because it was a fairy that was in 1600 in the 1600s in German forest. We did a show about it, and they're even saying the Egyptian times there was a thing on the wall about something like that. But Slender Man was made, and look at that girl. It was supposed to be something fake, and then she went out and they stabbed that girl and killed her, and the one went to jail. The one got out, just recently. But there's other situations with Slender Man. That's another urban legend that's becoming real. I think you can manifest things and make them real. I think it happens. I think we do it all the time. And like Mothman. Like I know we're getting out of this, but Mothman was. I think that's manifesting. I think that now it's getting one of the most famous cryptos. But as soon as you see it, something bad happens, especially in that town. So and just I'm choosing it for example, guys. For all, it's another legend. And like the Bunny Man, that's another one out there in Pennsylvania. Like, I guess like this hole where this guy was a murderer, and if you see the Bunny Man, you die. And I've heard stories about this. Like there was in Pennsylvania, I heard there was this lady and this guy, the car broke down, and he's all, I'm going to leave. It was the middle of this winter time. And he's all, no, don't leave me here in a car. So he said, I have to. And he left. Well, the whole night she locked the doors and hid in the back seat and went to sleep, but she could hear the top of the roof dragging. Well, after she got up, it was her boyfriend hanging dead. And I thought that was a joke, but I saw some horror movie, and it was one of the urban legends they used in the horror movie, but I already had heard about that. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff right there. There's a heavy studied crypto. And I just reading what she just said. And I'm just showing these urban legends, Bigfoot, I don't know if that's an urban legend because there's so many sightings of that. It's not, that's more of a reality. I think, maybe we could say like Jersey Devil. That's kind of an urban legend because, they've seen it, but they haven't seen it in a long time, but there's been a lot of stories about it. The Chupacabra out here in California and Mexico, that's been big, in South America. I've seen, so I could tell you a story about something I seen. One time we were walking in the middle of the desert, and this thing jumped over a 6-foot fence and just barely tipped the edge of the 6-foot fence and ran off. And it looked like a lion's head, like it was a kangaroo body. And we seen it two or three different things, and we called it the Kraken. Funny because that, back then I didn't know what I was talking about. The Kraken's supposedly be a creature in the ocean now. So right. That's what. So, but no, I seen this weird looking crypto. and it was the weirdest thing I ever think. But they had George Air Force Base out there, and they were doing stuff out there. They were saying in the 50s and 40s. So you never know what was going on. But yeah, with the mirrors, I believe that, man. I believe that there's stuff going on there.
Yeah, one of our famous urban legends, man, and you probably heard of this, is the Black-Eyed Children. There's a lot of evidence of the Black-Eyed Children, but yet nobody knows where they come from. You know, people in West Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona they're well documented. You know, but you have to look at what's going on between those three states. You got Dulce, New Mexico, in between both of those states, West Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Is it possible that one of them or a couple of them could have escaped Dulce? We don't know. But I can honestly tell you, if I'm a truck driver, because they weren't known in West Texas, if I was a truck driver and I was sitting on the side of the road trying to get some sleep in a dark area and some kid knocks on my door, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to unlock that door. I'm going to open it and I'm going to hit that kid with that door and I'm going to lock it and I'm going to go back to freaking sleep. That's what I'm going to do. You know? I mean, it's a lot of cases where these children have just popped up out of nowhere. In Arizona, they went into neighborhoods and knocked on neighborhood doors, and just so luckily that the people had these doorbell cameras. They were like, man, who is this kid knocking on my door 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning with a hoodie on? Can't be no more than the age of 9 or 10. Come on, man. You should be at home with your parents. But I can honestly say that would never happen in the hood. We would not go for that, my brother. If we seen a little kid running around in the neighborhood like that, first of all, he gonna get his hoodie took.
Yeah, we actually covered that the Black-Eyed Children on several episodes of Staring, and there's Black-Eyed adult sightings as well. And the crazy thing is, on multiple of these sightings of the Black-Eyed Children, the Black-Eyed adults, you've had the Men in Black show up afterwards to actually collect them, and you've had the people who actually let them in the home. They've gotten sick and died with different illnesses. It's very fascinating. And one of them was down in your area. They were actually meeting somebody at a park, and the Black-Eyed adults with a couple Black-Eyed children with them. They were actually meeting people at a park and talking to them. And then after they got done talking to the people would walk down the hill, walk right out into the river, and drown themselves. It was absolutely insane. I covered it on one of the episodes of I think it's a Black-Eyed adult episode of Staring into the Abyss on the YouTube channel. Once again, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's like, what, 2, 3 shameless plugs? I'm a legend. But you really need to check that out, because there's some amazing episodes. We've done, like Old Boy was saying earlier, we've done history episodes. I did an amazing episode on Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracul. That is one of the best histories you'll ever hear about on that dude, man. I went deep dive and everything you could ever want to know about the real life Dracula. I did one on Billy the Kid. I did one on Manson. I mean, we've done paranormal. We've done science episodes. We've done some amazing history episodes. And then on the cryptid subject, cryptids are kind of in 2 different categories. You've got your more supernatural type cryptids, like the Chupacabra, Jersey Devil, that kind of deal. And then you've got your natural cryptids like Bigfoot, like your different lake monsters like Champ and Lake Champlain, Nessie in Scotland, and Loch Ness. And I think a lot of those, dude, honestly, they're just animals, bro. I mean, they're things that were alive back in the time of dinosaurs that have survived. You know, I think that Bigfoot is Gigantopithecus. I think that probably a lot of those lake monsters, there's some sort of aquatic dinosaur, it would be my guess. A lot of people say, you know, it's this or it's that. Who knows exactly the species, because you've got a lot of changes that happen over time. But I think it's some offshoot of some kind of aquatic dinosaur. And the interesting thing we've learned recently about Loch Ness is that it's actually connected to a lot of the other lochs in that area of Scotland, and it connects through underground tunnels and streams all the way out to the ocean, because they've actually had a couple sightings in the ocean of Nessie. And that would explain why when they do sonar dredges of the lake, sometimes they don't find much, is because maybe it's not there at that time. It could be that Nessie actually lives out in the ocean somewhere, and that's why we can't find her very often. And they come into the lochs in order to lay their eggs, right? Just like a salmon would swim all that way just to lay eggs and die. Maybe they don't die, though. Maybe they swim in, they lay their eggs, and they go away like a turtle does. You know, they swim across almost a whole ocean to lay their eggs on a beach and then go back across. They spend their whole life doing it, right? Maybe that's what we're dealing with. Some sort of prehistoric creature that is just using that as either a breeding ground or a spawning ground. And that's why you see it there and then you don't see it there. You know, I think a lot of these cryptids that are the natural cryptids, that's what we're dealing with, is simple animals. There's nothing mysterious about it. And a lot of people say, well, there's no way something could be here from the dinosaur time. That's silly. Not really. I mean, alligators, you know, great white sharks were around in the time of the megalodon. You know, crocodiles, you got a lot of different animals that are on Earth right now that existed alongside of dinosaurs that are still here, that live. You know, birds, I think, came from some species of dinosaur. They kind of evolved from that. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. And I think when you demystify it, right, you take it out of the supernatural realm where it's some scary monster, and you simply say, dude, this is just an animal, bro. That's all it is. Look at the silverback gorilla in the Congo. That was nothing but a myth. It was a bit of lore from the local tribes. Everybody said they were crazy. Everybody said there's no way that a giant primate like that could exist on Earth that we haven't discovered. That's lunacy until we found them. Now they exist. Same thing with the giant squid. That's the Kraken, as old boy was talking about the Kraken. That's the Kraken of legend and lore, of the old sea monsters, until we found it, until we got it on camera. And we said, look, there it is. Oh, well, it does exist. The coelacanth is a prehistoric fish thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago, washed up right off the coast of Madagascar, right? Over and over and over again, we see this same exact pattern. People have a tendency to think too much of themselves. They think there's no way these things can exist because if they did, I would know about it, right? Not necessarily, man. There's a lot of places on this planet that we haven't spent a whole lot of time, you know, and there's no reason why a lot of these things couldn't exist. Every couple of years, they do a study down in the Amazon jungle where they set up nets underneath the trees, on the base of a tree. And they have this cool machine that it's like a belt that wraps around the tree and it has a motor on it and it shakes like this. And when it shakes the whole damn tree. And all kinds of stuff falls out of the tree into this net. And they discover thousands of new species of insect that they didn't even know existed every time they do that in the Amazon. So that's just one tree in one forest of the Amazon on the planet. Imagine all the stuff that's in the ocean that we can't even find. You know, imagine all the stuff that's in remote areas that nobody ever goes. You know, people say, like with Bigfoot, they say, well, if Bigfoot was real, we'd have found one dead somewhere. Okay, well, are bears real? I think we would all agree that bears are real, correct? Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen a dead bear in the woods when you're walking around? No, you haven't. Have you ever seen a dead deer unless somebody shot it? No, you didn't, because forests are designed to break down organic matter. Forests, within a couple days, that thing that died is now unrecognizable because you have fungus, you have insects, you have birds of prey, carnivores, you have scavengers. They all come and they take from that body. And then they just drag them off. You know, coyotes come, they drag it off this way, that way. Birds come and grab a chunk and take off with it, you know? So it gets scattered and it's a wet, moist environment where fungus likes to grow. So you're going to get rapid deterioration of that body until there's nothing left within a week or two. So that's why you don't ever find bodies of a lot of different animals that we know exist.
The one thing that got me puzzled is the Kandahar giant. Have you guys heard of that one?
Yeah, in Afghanistan. I actually saw an interview with the chopper pilot that hauled that thing out.
What do you think?
The funny thing is, he gave the interview, and then like a couple weeks later, he just disappeared. Like, I'm not saying anything nefarious happened to him. Like, nobody can find him though. We don't know where the hell he went. and nobody can find him, and nobody says he existed ever. But I know he existed because I saw the interview he did, right? So
Exactly.
for people that don't know what that is, it was the story of our soldiers over in Afghanistan that were out on patrol, and they ran across what they call the Kandahar giant in this cave. It's a red-headed giant with 6 fingers on one hand in a cave in Afghanistan, and it came out with a giant spear and attacked our soldiers, and they ended up subduing it and taking it out of there with a chopper and a net. It's a pretty interesting. We actually, I think, did an episode of Staring on that as well. We've done several episodes on Staring about giants, and giants absolutely existed on this planet. Genesis 6 talks about when the angels came down and they mated with women, and their offspring was giants. I did an episode of Staring called "What Are Demons and Where Do They Come From?" And in that episode, you learn the origin of demons, the origin of vampires, the actual real life vampires that really existed, the origin of the old Greek and Roman gods. It's all proven through scripture. It is an amazing, amazing episode. You really guys really got to check that one out. But giants were the offspring of angels and humankind. They created the giants. When the giants died, they became the demons. That's what a demon is the disembodied spirit of a giant. See, mankind is a trinity, just like God is a trinity. We're made in his image. God is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We are our body, our soul, and our spirit, right? So a giant, being the offspring of an angel, which is a spiritual being, and a human, which has the trinity, they have a spirit from their parent, the angel. They have a body from their parent, the human. But they do not have a soul, because only God gives a soul. And God looked at the giants, if you read the Bible, as an abomination who didn't get a soul. So when they die, they have no soul to go to heaven or hell. So their spirit wanders the earth in search of another body. That is what a demon actually is the disembodied spirit of a giant, which is the offspring of angels and man. Well, not man, woman, actually, but we say mankind. But
You know what? That sounds very interesting.
it's an amazing episode. You really should check it out.
I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more, because that sounds amazing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm definitely to check that out. All right, guys. It's been an hour and 36 minutes. Very interesting, very educational podcast. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate you guys coming on the show, man.
Thank you.
I really do, but oh boy, me and you gotta talk, because we haven't talked much. Now you say you are a pagan, right?
We'll say that.
Okay, and you study witchcraft, correct?
No,
Okay.
I'm different.
Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, one, I'm not. I'm pagans. Anything. Okay, so we'll get this straight. Pagans. Anything that's not Christianity or what do they call it? Muslim belief.
Okay.
Abrahamic. Sorry. And so anything that would be pagan. My personal belief is, one, I'll talk about it, but I don't like to, because some people, especially, don't like it. So but I'll tell you, what do you want to know? What I believe in?
Yes, I want to know.
I have a difference of opinion on the Bible, and
we'll save the Bible for another day, because
we'll leave that alone.
That conversation can last for months, even years.
Yeah, years.
Yeah, but because I've run across the different people that are pagans, witches, warlocks. Even though you're not supposed to use the word warlock anymore. I don't know why.
Because it's not a warlock is actually bad, because actually witches, a man can be a witch. That was just another misconception by Hollywood. But no, a warlock, somebody who decided to go on the left. There's a right side and left side. There's no good and bad magic, and there's people who use magic for good, and there's people who use it for evil. And warlock is basically somebody who has been casted out of their coven, and they're considered bad. Just like with Sherman, like the Skinwalkers, they were once a shaman and they gave themselves to bad, voodoo, not voodoo, bad magic, and now they're cursed, but they can do certain things that for that curse. And there's a left and a right. There isn't like, oh well, there's people who just do black magic. There's people who just use spells for bad things. Then there's people who use spells, most of the people who protect people, or they're doing for nature. Then there's people who are more like me, who I wouldn't consider myself a witch. I'm just somebody I can track negativity. I could see right through people very easy. I can see if there's something on you. I can see something's attached to you, and I deal with certain things that most people don't. And it's true. James can vouch for me that there's something in me, but it's a different, and that's a whole nother story. And if you ever want to be on our show, you're always welcome to come on. Just let me know, and we'll talk about that. But yes, my wife is into the pagan belief. She believes in magic and herbs and helping people, but she's in the middle. She knows there's a good side of it and a bad side of it. So she's basically right in the middle, because I'm sorry, you can't live. In my opinion is you can't coexist with either side. Without each other. You can't have good without evil, evil with good. But there's a necessary evil and there's a necessary good. And that's what I believe. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to change anybody's belief, and I don't care what you believe in. And just like James said, you're not going to change what I believe. I don't want to change what you believe in. I'm explaining what I do. So when I go and mess with these things, they talk to me. They don't like them because they're on the other side. If you want to, and most people are going to say that anyway, because in certain people's minds, I'm bad. So that's fine, and I'm used to it. So I'm the face anyway. I get attacked a lot of it anyway, and James does too, because it gets down to his political beliefs, and that's a whole nother show. We don't talk about that too much. Right. But I believe that we have good and evil things. I believe that some people use them for, if you're going to use something for bad, you're going to do bad to people. But there's always going to be I believe in karma. I believe it's going to come back on you sevenfold. And I believe if you do good on somebody, it's going to come good on you. And it has. But when you want bad, and I don't care who you are on any kind of thing, if you're a Christian, you do something bad, you're going to get, in my opinion, something bad's going to happen. Your God's going to punish them. And if you do something good, he's going to give you rewards. Just like my opinion is on the same thing. You mess with karma, you're going to be regretting it. And I've seen it happen. Like if you mess with people and you try to just purposely hurt people, hey, I'm going to do spells on people to ruin their life and kill them. It can happen. But remember, there's going to be a price to that. But there's some of them who they're cool about it. They don't care. They don't care who they hurt and what they're doing. They know where they're going, and they're accepted that fact. And there's some people who don't. There's some people who think I'm just doing it to get rich, or I'm going to get all this power, and they're going to pay a price. So that's kind of stuff that I believe in. I talk to certain things, and we'll leave it at that. But I don't do it to harm anybody. I don't go, hey, I need you to take care of this person. He stole $5 from me. Go take care of it. Or I'm going to do this spell because this woman doesn't want to talk to me or something. I don't do stuff that I don't help people to hurt people. That's not I believe in a necessary evil. I believe that eye for an eye. You mess with me, then I'm going to mess with you. If you don't bother me, I don't want nothing that harm on you. You will be friends. But if you want to mess with me in a bad way, I have to do something bad back. And I don't want to, but that's just the way that's how I live my life. And I don't mess with people. That's just in general with anything. It doesn't matter what you believe. If you don't mess with people, but most of the time things that no one's going to mess with you, there's always going to be some idiot. It doesn't matter that's going to say something dumb. It doesn't matter if you're like you said in Walmart, somebody sees your shirt, and not all of them are going to be nice to you. They're going to say, oh, you're going to go to hell, or that's all fake. That's bull crap. And you're always going to have somebody to try to attack you anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're what you believe in.
Exactly.
And in this case, especially if you believe in God and you go put that on Facebook, watch the attacking you're going to get. So, I mean, I know how that goes too. So, and it's ridiculous. You can't say anything anymore. So,
Yes.
but that's pretty much what I kind of believe. I kind of believe that, I believe things, if you mess with them, you get bad things happening. If you don't, nothing happens. But I'll tell you this right now, most people don't mess with me. They don't mess with my wife. They know better. I mean, we don't threaten them or anything, but
Right. I understand that. Trust me. Hey, it's been an hour and 44 minutes, man.
Yes.
Time flies when you're having a good conversation.
Good.
And I really, like I said earlier, I really like, you guys coming on the show. I really appreciate it. With closing statements, I got one for each one of you guys. And I ask this on everybody that comes on my podcast. Oh boy, paranormal investigator, and James is a paranormal investigator / oh man, it always come back to demonologist, but you're not a demonologist. So if you guys wanted to go anywhere in the world to investigate, where would you go? Starting with oh boy.
Dracula's castle, the most haunted place in the world, they say. And Vlad the Impaler, it's supposed to be the most haunted place in the world. And I want to go into the coffin by myself.
So you want to go to Romania?
Yeah, I want to go to Romania. I'm going to be locked in the coffin. It doesn't bother me. I'll go in the Calicones where there's supposed to be all these crazy things happen when they see ghost. Remember, ghost hunters and they what is it? International went there. They got chased out. I'll go. I don't care. It doesn't scare me. But that should tell you where my lines, or Skinwalker Ranch. I'd love to go there. That's my second one.
Okay. All right, good one. James, where would you like to go, brother?
I actually went to Dracula's castle when I was young. I grew up over in Germany, so I've been over there. If I could choose anywhere in the world, I would go to the Suicide Forest. I'd want to go in there and camp for a couple weeks in the Suicide Forest by myself and see what the hell that's all about and see if I can come out with some answers. Because one thing that drives me crazy is not having the answer to something. I'm the kind of guy that I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to keep digging until I find it. And that's one that nobody knows the answer to. And I'm a survivalist anyway. You can drop me off pretty much anywhere in the world with nothing and I could survive. I've been trained to survive. I'm really good. And I'm good at the paranormal. I'm good at all of this stuff as well. So I'm not scared of anything there. You know what I mean? I can do the survival bit. I know I can survive there. And I'm not afraid of whatever is causing people to kill themselves there. I'd like to go. And if I ever do a show for Discovery or something like that, one thing I would pitch to them is send me to the Suicide Forest by myself for a couple weeks. I'll go there, I'll build a shelter, I'll camp out, and I'll come out with some answers. That would be my choice.
I had a friend of mine who's from Japan, and she went to Nagasaki, and we actually did a live investigation at Ground Zero. Can you imagine that? And she is a well-known psychic medium. She's a clairvoyant. Yes, it is, Nick. It's Miss Irene. And we did an investigation there, man, and everything just snowballed.
I can imagine. It's probably got a lot of energy there.
A lot of energy. And she's actually wants to do the same thing, James, at the forest. And she wants to go to the Suicide Waterfall in Japan also. So we got a lot of things lined up that we're going to do. But can you imagine getting to those places personally? And actually,
awesome.
Yes.
I've been to every castle in Europe when I was a kid. That's one thing we did was we went to all the different castles and checked them out and everything. And there's a lot of neat historical stuff in old world Europe. And my old stomping ground when I was a kid was the Black Forest over there. I used to go over there. I actually found this amazing cave, and I went down in this cave, and there's all these quartz crystals growing out of the wall. Some of them as big as like my arm. I mean, they were gigantic. And so I went back on the base and grabbed a hammer and a chisel and a backpack, and I went and I camped out in the Black Forest over the weekend and chiseled away a bunch of quartz crystal and filled my backpack with it and brought it home because it was so pretty. And the crazy thing was when we came back stateside, the movers, because the military would hire movers to move all your stuff, and that box magically didn't make it. You know what I mean? Back to the house. Those things are worth thousands and thousands of dollars, so I can understand why. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I didn't have any of my quartz that I was a little kid too, and I went there and I mined it all myself because it was so pretty.
Darn movers. Or it might have been the government. It might have been. You never know. All right, guys. Hey, tell the world how to get a hold of you guys.
You want to go ahead and go first, old boy? Do your shout outs and everything?
If you want to watch us on ParaX Radio every Sunday nights at 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific on ParaX Radio, and the best of shows on Tuesday nights, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, the government. I just saw that somebody. You can listen to the best of show. You can follow us on James Hershey's YouTube page. We also have a merchandise page. He can tell you where to go get shirts and stuff like that. Check us out on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, all the big things. We're going to try to get on iTunes next. And a lot of big things are coming. We can't talk about it because there's stuff that's been signed. We just can't talk about it no more. So sooner or later, you'll be seeing us a lot more, and not just on YouTube and on ParaX. So thank you for having me on, Terry. It was I want to have you on our show one night.
Sure.
You let us know. We do it on Thursdays, but you can do it on any day. We'll think of a day if you need to come on, and you can come on whenever you want, and we can talk about whatever you want and what you do in paranormal, and you could tell us about it. But we love you, Misfits. So
is there any way we can talk about the greatest mystery of the universe?
Yeah.
Y'all know what that is, right?
Go ahead.
James, do you know what that is?
Are you talking about creation?
Nope.
Life?
What is it?
Nope. Women.
Oh.
You're on your own there, but I know a hell of a lot, but I don't know that.
Hey, I will never understand them. The biggest mystery of the universe, understanding women.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll still be doing this show for 1,000 years and still never know. So
yeah, we'll never know. But anyway, guys, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed it. It was really, really educational. I learned a lot from you guys. And you know what? I am going to push this video through so everybody else can see it. If you guys want to share this, feel free to do so. Man, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight. Hey guys, if anybody in the group want to get a hold of these gentlemen, please do so. Man, their name is right there. These guys aren't hard to get a hold of. I did it in a matter of a phone call. So if you guys can't find them for some weird reason out there, just go to their Facebook page and just call them up like I did. And I'm pretty sure they will take their time out to talk to you and to answer questions that you might have. You know what I'm saying? But with enough, hey, you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Man, I am going to go watch me some football. Hopefully USC is losing to Fresno State, but I doubt it. Would you shake your head? What?
But you know what? I feel bad for USC because this is their last year and they get to play the Big Ten. I'm a Big Ten fan. I'm a Michigan fan. So wait till next year. They're gonna actually have to play teams now, and so I'm not. I'm a big yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm a Duck and Bronco fan.
Well, they're talking about going to the Big Ten. You know that Colorado and Oregon also, because UCLA and USC is. So
Yeah, we're there. I mean, it's a done deal, man. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it.
You're going to get a lot of TV time, and you're going to be able to get in a national championship because you're actually coming to a division that people watch.
Yeah, but I just don't think that I just don't think that we can compete at that level yet.
Ugh. We'll see. You're going to have to.
We'll see. I mean, we did go to Ohio State and beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know,
that
we
was
did
during the summertime.
Yeah.
I'm talking about wintertime. It's going to be a whole different story.
Well, you know what? Eugene is not too. Eugene and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The weather is the same to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think weather would be a factor. Now for USC and UCLA,
they're going to have a hard time playing in Michigan.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. I mean, there's not enough clothing for me to even go to Michigan, dude, because it's hella cold up there.
Like Minnesota.
Yeah,
another one to be playing.
Colorado too. I mean, I'm originally from Colorado, but yeah, it gets cold there really quick.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah. All right, guys. Hey, man, appreciate it. Enjoy it. Feel free to share this video to the world. Hey, just let me know when you guys would like to have me and the team on the show, because we are a band of paranormal misfits, but we stay within the guidelines. I don't like to go outside the box unless I have to, but I try to stay within the guidelines of on how a paranormal investigator is supposed to be and how a paranormal investigator should be represented. So I'm that type of guy that likes to, to go down that line, not go right, not go left. I'll go left if I have to, but I'm straight right down the middle. But anyway, guys, you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
Tell everybody I said hello in Cali and Virginia, right?
Yeah, I'm up in the mountains of Virginia. I'm in like Deliverance territory, brother. It's like real mountain life up here. It's my town, my closest town has like a couple hundred people in it. That's it.
Hey, man, that's perfect.
Yeah, I love it.
You don't need, man. I can imagine the nights are starry up there.
Oh yeah, I got a 30-acre compound up here, bro. It's gorgeous. There's no light pollution. It's just beautiful. I got mountain lions and bears in my front yard every night. It's a beautiful thing.
You ain't got to worry about going to the grocery store. You got plenty of food right there to eat off the land.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually planted an orchard and I grow crops every year. So yeah, I'm covered.
That's what I'm talking about. Definitely. All right, guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Hey, this is NSPS TV Paranormal Podcast. Signing off. Hey, I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So, hey, join me on that podcast tomorrow, 7 Central, 6 Mountain Time. In the meantime, peace. You guys enjoy the rest